Good morning, students. Today we are going to study the chapter Glimpses of India. And in this chapter, we are going to study about three exciting places of India. This chapter has three parts, and we are going to read about Coorg, Assam, and Goa. And today we will begin with Goa. Yes, we are going to read about a baker from Goa. It's written by Lucio Rodriguez. But before we read the text and understand it, let's study about the author. Professor Lucio Rodriguez is another one in a long line of literary geniuses that Goa has produced. He may have long departed this world, but nevertheless, his legacy of literature lives on through his writing and his students. An authority on Goan folklore, Professor Lucio Rodriguez was not only a visiting professor of folklore at the Indiana University, USA in 1969. His essays in English, as well as those translated from Konkani, were published as Of Soil and Soul in Konkani Folk Tales after his death in 1973. It was the revised edition of this compilation, renamed Ambulum, which was released at the commemoration of this exceptional son of Goa's birth centenary at the Xavier Center of Historical Research, Perborem. Now, let me give you a brief introduction of this part, A Baker from Goa. It revolves around the relevance of a baker in the Goan culture, which dates back to the time when Portuguese ruled over the city of Goa. The Portuguese may have left, but the bread makers continue to have an inevitable stature. In this story, the author recalls his childhood days and their excitement on seeing the baker. They were enthusiastic to the point that they would run to him as soon as they woke up without even brushing their teeth. The story takes us back to the time when Portuguese ruled Goa. They were immensely famous for their breads. The narrator often finds his elders thinking about those good old days and telling them that the famous breads date back to the time when Portuguese ruled over Goa. They ponder over the past and tell them that though the Portuguese have left Goa, but the bakers of bread still exist. If not the original ones, their legacy is being continued by their sons. The bakers are still being referred to as paders. Everything about baking is still the same, ranging from those who mold the bread loaves to the furnaces which have survived the ravages of time. The sound of their arrival and the thud of their bamboo stick can still be heard just like the olden times. The narrator recalls that the baker acted as their friend and companion during their childhood days in Goa. The baker used to visit twice a day. Once while he was on the round to sell his loaves, and the other time while returning back with his empty basket, having sold all the loaves. It was the sound of his bamboo stick that woke the children up. The children were so excited to meet him and choose from the bread bangles or konkan he made especially for them. While the bangles were for children, loaves were for the adults that were generally collected by the maidservant of the household. The baker often made a musical entry with his bamboo stick. His one hand supported the basket on his head while the other banged the bamboo on the ground. He would go house to house and greet the ladies before handing them over the loaves. The parents would scold the children and make them stand aside, but as eager as they were, they would climb a bench or the wall to peep into the basket. They did not even bother to brush their teeth before having those bread bangles, because it seemed unnecessary effort for them to pluck mango leaves from the branches to use them from brushing the teeth. They considered brushing unnecessary because the hot tea could effortlessly wash their teeth. That is what they believed. And they thought that animals like the tiger never brushed their teeth. Bread is an important part of the Goan culture, and it is evident from its presence of every important occasion, from sweetbreads at marriages to sandwiches at engagement parties, and cakes and coconut cookies at Christmas as well as other occasions, makes the presence of a baker in every village very essential. Bakers were known to have worn unique knee-length frock dresses typically known as kabai. In the narrator's childhood days, he had seen them wearing shirts and pants whose length was shorter than the usual ones. It was a part of their identity so much so that even if someone wears the trouser length now, he is said to have dressed like a baker or pader, as was said in olden times. The baker had a way of making monthly record of bills on a wall using a pencil and then collecting the money at the end of the month. Baking has always been a profitable profession. The baker's family and workers have always been happy and joyous. The baker was usually fat, which was proof that he had a lot to eat and hence was a proof of his richness. Even to this day, someone with a well-built body is compared to a baker. Now let's have a look at the theme of the story, A Baker from Goa. The writer presents a pen portrait of a traditional Goan village baker who still has an important place in its society. Even today, marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread or the bowl, just as a party or a feast loses its charm without Goan bread. So I hope you all understood the chapter A Baker from Goa. That was all from this chapter. Do read the text and clear your doubts whenever you wish. Thank you so much for watching.